All right, we're about to go live.
It's on YouTube.
Just waiting on it to pull up so it can mute it. Okay. Okay, this is week 10 of the Lost Confederacy channel. This channel is called the Lost Confederacy, representing the American form of government, which is Confederacy. And this week, we're going to start off tying in a situation that happened this week in the state of Georgia with what this channel is about. And it's going to be District Attorney Fani Willis. She decided to create more RICO charges on another group of entertainers or artists, or what we call rappers. And what we want to do is we want to show how this government will use its employees in order to continue the operating procedure that this government has always operated under, which is it incarcerates more people than any other government on planet Earth. And so here we can see now that they're trying to get back to business as usual, but our job is to play the whole tape out. And when we play the whole tape out, let's go back to 2020. Why did gun sales spike in the state of Georgia in 2020? It was because of Ahmaud Arbery. And it was because of the district attorney in Brunswick, Georgia, that looked at that video and decided not to press charges. And 6 other district attorneys saw that same video, and they also decided not to press charges. So a district attorney in the city of Marietta, which is considered metro Atlanta area, they had to pick the case up and try the case. So gun sales skyrocketed because of that murder. Then you add in Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. So here we are 2 years later, and you have public servants in the city of Atlanta acting as if they don't know why the youth all have guns now. It's because of the operating, the military occupation that we've been under and how that's been business as usual. So the fact that there's energy now on locking up the youth, which they've been doing during the 90s, during the 2000s, during Jim Crow era. So we can see that they're trying to turn this thing away from the real problem, which was defund the police. Let's find another way to protect our communities without being gunned down on video. And now what they're trying to do is make it look like we're the problem. So we were the problem during the crack era. Now they're trying to make us the problem during this pandemic, when in reality, it was the city of Atlanta that returned millions of dollars in the form of grant money. There's no programs in place for this young generation to go to technical schools, to learn skill sets. What's the result of that? You see youth selling bottled water during the middle of the pandemic. So yeah, these kids are going to organize and try to get creative and find ways to make money. And unfortunately, some of it may be against the law. But again, if you give them no options as far as being able to educate themselves so that they can have a skill, these guys have skill sets, they're just misapplied skills. If they're smart enough to steal a car without a key, that guy may need to be an auto mechanic, not in jail for life. And so that's why we want to open up this video talking about the district attorney willing to give life sentences for these youth organizing when the city of Atlanta failed them and the state of Georgia failed them during the pandemic, because there was no programs in place for them to create a way to sustain for themselves. And so they're basically out here doing whatever they can. And shame on the district attorney and everybody who's going to try to make this look like it's an inner youth, quote unquote, Black issue, when it's the same issue that it was in 2020 when Joe Biden got in office. Defund the police and investigate all of these different law enforcement agencies, because you got militia hidden within them, which is why they can now kill us on video and they're not even getting murder charges. That's the root of the problem. Everything else is a symptom. Y'all want to build on that?
I definitely agree with that in regards to how they're just trying to flip the script in regards to everything that's going on specifically in the city of Atlanta. And the district attorney, she is talking very, very strong about what she feels need to happen. But like you said, there were no programs. This all of this crime have started, you know, in response to what happened in 2020 with George Floyd and everything else across the country. And people felt like they needed to go be armed and purchase firearms and things of that nature. And then with kids not being in school, nothing to do, jobs are limited. Like you said, they're resorting to things that may be against the law, but they have to try to make a way, and not making an excuse for them doing these things, but giving life in prison to these young adults and children. And they dropped they didn't even indict the officer that shot and killed Rayshard Brooks within the same district. I just don't think that any of it makes sense.
I'll just add, I'm glad we're kind of talking about this today as well. But results of being benign and neglected, you know, Chief Alligator and Chief Firewater just spoke about, you know, our youth being outside selling bottled waters. So with this DOA being such a tough figure and she's tough on crime, cool, you have the answer to pull it off the streets. What are we going to do to stop it before it happens? So all this passion coming out about, you know, locking the youth up. Okay, you know, commit the crime, do the time. I got you. How do we keep it from happening? So, you know, we can get on YouTube, we can have the medias go crazy with outlets and putting this video out of this black woman, you know, standing strong and firm on her case against crime in Atlanta and her city, as she should be. But how do you stop the crime from happening? How do you get the city involved and move away from the mindset of I have to commit crime in order to you know, eat every day or make it day to day? What programs are out there? And when we first started on the YouTube, there are none, you know, and if there is some, it's very, very limited to whoever. So what are we gonna do about, and this is just to, you know, the city of Atlanta, what are you gonna do to keep the youth off the street? Forget putting them in jails. I got it. What are we gonna do to stop having them go outside and walk for hours throughout the day selling water? You know, what are we gonna do? And I know there's a lot of people out there that are actually doing the work to get these programs funded. And it's like they keep getting pushback after pushback, no funding. The government won't give the resources. So again, if we're gonna stop crime, all right, lock everybody up. More children are gonna be born. What's next?
Great points. Chief Biko, you want to chime in? The only thing I would say to that is this is normal for this government. Normal is not to find solutions to make us productive. Normal is this group of people, incarcerate them. And so that's what has to be addressed that nobody really wants to talk about. Why is the solution always lock us up? Whether it's the pandemic, the crack era, the war on drugs, the war on crime, you know, it's always the solution is incarcerate them. And so we're calling Fannie Willis to the stand, and we're just showing how it was a premeditated setup. And myself being on the front line in 2019, not knowing how the reset or the next economic downturn would happen, but knowing that it was going to happen, the city of Atlanta needs to explain why they gave back millions of dollars in grant money. That could have been given to programs or local technical schools. The city of Atlanta also needs to explain why there's a live work project, why all the skill sets are in the Georgia prison system now. So it's to their benefit to lock up the youth and send them down the road and train them for free so that they can work on government, city, and county contracts. They don't want you to do it in the free world. Let's call it what it is. These people look like you, but they're not on your side.
I just want to add something to what you just said, Chief Alligator. I think through this channel, we found out where all that labor was going. And I saw a post yesterday from the Daily Mail. They made the story sound very, nice. It was about prisoners training dogs how to, be a service dog, and then they're giving the service dogs to the veterans or whoever else. And I'm like, wow, that's in jail? Like, they're training dogs in jail. And then it hit me, oh, free labor. Yeah, getting them out of there for no cost at all. And then the fact that they take the dog away and give it to somebody else when they made it seem like the dog is for the actual prisoner as a companion. It's like, wait, you take it away and give it away. It's not his companion. It's just his job to train it, right? And then, but that's free labor, and then that could easily be a programming outside. That if it's that easy to do it on the inside, that's easy to do on the outside. Why can't we get funded for programs like that? Youth love animals, so watching the games we play, yeah, tough conditions for our group of people, man. It's like you can get a skill, but you gotta go to jail. But
no, that's a great point. It's backwards, like you said. All of this free labor they're able to get at the expense of our group of people. But then yet when we have the resources, or when we have the actual program set in place to get the youth from even being wrapped up in this this slavery system, basically, this free labor, it's like, okay, well, we can't give you those funds. Yes, you can, because you're not even expensing out the cost of labor to even do them. Because like you just stated, we're training your dogs, we're building your, we're creating your license plates, we're creating your cutlery, we're creating so many things in these work camps, these prisons, that you're not even delving out any expenses for that. So you have the resources. We know that because you're sending 30 million to Afghanistan, right. You're sending 30 million to Ukraine, you're sending, all of these funds to these different groups of people. But when it comes to, for example, Mississippi water, you just gonna have to declare a state of emergency. So we could see the continued system again working how it's supposed to be. Basically, it's just not working for us. But yeah, the excuses, we aren't, buying those anymore, because it's just plain to see that, you're doing this intentionally. So why would we even give you our time or energy to even continue to do this to us? We're not going to do that.
Great points, everybody. The symbolic note that they're doing when they put a woman, we're just gonna use the word Black woman for a minute, but there's a symbolic message, because no other woman on planet Earth would say she's gonna lock up her own kids for life. See, they have to get the woman to concede to locking up the youth. And I just want everybody out there that's listening to this video right now, not the people on this channel, because we already understand what time it is, but ask yourself, you don't see the Asian woman saying lock up her own kids for life. You don't see the European woman saying she's going to lock up her own kids for life. You just saw a January 6th hearing where they can delete text messages, be on video, politicians admitting that they left security surveillance down and the whole nine, but go to jail. That's not an option for their own. So the real question is, we have to look at ourselves. Why is she willing to lock up her own kids? No other group, no other woman on planet Earth does that. But we'll get on stage and we'll roll our necks and we'll talk loud and we will act like she's actually putting her foot down. So why do we do that? Because like Chief Rico said, the game is up. We see the game at this point. You're not going to convince us that funding, locking up another generation is the answer. Y'all been doing this since 1965 with the Black Panthers. So here we go again with another generation. And you're not targeting the managers of the labels. You're only looking at the artists for these RICO charges. Who's paying them? Management. But you're not going to look at that. You only want to look at the artists. So we see your games 365 degrees. with that being said, we'll go straight into what we do on this channel, which is get our minds clear so we can have these kind of conversations and understand exactly what's going on. So we'll get into the 12 steps. Chief Quietwater.
Okay, so I have the 12 steps for this week. So number 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Number 2, who established that estate. Number 3, what tribe and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Number 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend what's your position on reparations. Number 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3. In addition, field trips to APOW landmarks in that city, county, and state are needed. Number 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Number 7, avoid spending money with any small business that does not hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways, corner stores, etc. Number 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American businesses. Number 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends in making other groups follow our lead and support our club, services, products, and entertainment. Number 10, the U.S. government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American prisoners of war no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Number 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about their history on this land. Have them learn about an American inventor. Have them know about our heroes. They should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. They should know the nation of people prior to the European invasion militarily and culturally. And number 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every estate American prisoner of war live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter, will bring us together for our common cause.
Okay, you want to share what step jumped out to you, and everybody else can build on that as well?
So I think this week, what stands out to me would be number 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our club, services, products, and entertainment. It stands out to me simply because, again, we are the ones who people look at, yet we're the ones who get ignored the most. But we have the power to do great things if we just all come together and realize this. So I think number 9 is important because people rely on our energy and us spending money, because we are the biggest consumers. So that's why it sticks out to me this week.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. As far as number 9, it sounded like number 9 was the first time I was hearing it today or tonight. But all other groups rely on our energy. I'll stop it right there and just say we really got to understand that part. Just forget how much money we spend, how all other groups really truly rely on our energy. If we stop, the world stops. And we really truly need to come to that understanding. There is no new trend. There is no moving further into whatever void there is unless this group of people say something or regurgitate something on the mind or hit a new dance or hit a new lyric, however. So, 9 is huge because all other groups truly rely on our energy. And then as far as the operating cash, setting those trends, we could really have the world doing exactly what we do. And shout out to Kanye West for just standing on principles that he believed in and a company that he built and not allowing anybody else to steal his energy and set the trends, him standing on it. But yeah, our group, we truly need to know, like, other groups follow our lead. And that's why they can put the black woman in front of us as well and say lock them up, because that's mama. So if mama say it's cool, then I guess it's cool. You gotta understand, we set the trend. There's a whole song out. Migos. Didn't even 1 + 1 is 2.
Chief Biko, you want to build on that?
Yeah, shoot, I'm in alignment with everything Chief Quietwater and Chief Black Coat just stated, especially with number 9. We put it just like that, and then in regards to what we were just talking about with the whole, locking up our youth, everybody does rely on our energy, whether it's for free labor or for the next big thing, the next great idea. If we don't make it go, then it won't pop. Like, we are the trendsetters, and he gave a great example just by the whole Kanye situation. Some people may look at him as crazy because he's saying, no, this is my industry, this is my brand, I won't let anybody take over it. And if you have that employee mindset, that would look crazy to you. But he said, no, I created this, I'm going to own it, I'm going to shape it how I want it to be. And those who are of that mindset understand that and respect it. So if we all could, take a little bit of that and apply it to our everyday lives in just regards to that, hey, everybody does rely on our energy. We do set the trends for everything. And if we just actually understood that, then that will help us go a long way, just in regards to making things actually change.
Yep, great building. And I'm going to tie that into the inventor for this week. That's the reason why we do the inventor every week, is because we're trying to show the world that we are that group of people. We are the shot callers. It's unfortunate due to miseducation that we think different of ourselves, but that's the main reason why we do these inventors. So I'm going to share this week's inventor. Hold on 1 second. Share my screen. Okay. So let's get over here. Let's move this over here. All right, so today, the American inventor is going to be Mr. Landro Bell. He invented the smokestacks for locomotives. Smokestacks are also known as chimneys. And the federal patent number is 115153. And that invention was patented on May 23rd, 1871. And the object of his invention was to arrest the sparks and cinders which pass out the smokestacks. This was a great annoyance to passengers and a great danger to combustible property contiguous to the line of steam trace. So let's break that down real quick. So here we can see he's got figure 1, he's got figure 2. So figure 1, there's a fan here. You can see the arrows showing the airflow. All right, so this fan is going to blow that smoke up this chimney, which will come out of the train. What he did was he added a little wire cage right here. So those little hot pieces of coal or hot pieces of foreign objects, that it wouldn't fly out the smokestack and then land on somebody that's actually in a car further behind and burn your clothing. So he basically set it up where only smoke would come out, no foreign objects. And then you can see there's a downdraft. You see the arrow also shows the downdraft where it comes through this tube and then it flows out. So as the air is coming up, the air is also being pulled down to remove that heat. So it's only allowing the smoke to go up. He makes a note here that B is the firebox. So right here, I don't know if you can see on there, he's got it labeled firebox of the boiler, which is A. So here's the boiler right here. So this gets very hot. This is where the actual fire is going to be. And then FF are broiler fuse and tubes. So we can see the letter F right here, and we can see the tube right here. And D is the smoke box. So letter D is right here. And E is the smoke stack, which is here, by which the draft from the fire after passing through the after passing through the flues or tubes into the smoke box, passes up the stack and out of the chimney. So prior to him, there was no smokestacks on trains. So basically everybody got off the train black. If you could believe that, but that's how they traveled. When the first train before the locomotive stacks, you got off smelling like coal and you got off black. That's why the conductor, they would close the conductor off in a room by itself, because the conductor was in that car with all that heat. So he would be the one that would be tarred the most. But everybody on the cars behind would also have that smell on their clothes. So this eliminated that by blowing it out into the air. And so that is the inventor for this week, Mr. Landro Bell, inventing the smokestacks for the locomotives. And they also took his invention and applied it to chimneys on houses. And we do not own and control this industry that was invented by him, nor does his family. They're not wealthy off of this invention. And us as a group, we don't perceive any percentage of income for this invention. There should be a perpetual tax paid to that family for that Lord that created this invention. And that's this week's inventor. So we'll go next into Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote. Who's picking that up?
I got it. All right, so today we're gonna be doing quote number 3. Pull it up. All right, so it is well understood that if by the teaching of history, the European man could be further assured of his superiority, and the Negro could be made to feel that he had always been a failure, and that the subjection of his will to some other race is necessary, the freedman then would still be a slave. If you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you don't have to concern yourself about what he will do.
Okay, so this week was Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the third quote that's highlighted there. And next we'll do legal definitions and maroon historical points. They're up on the screen.
All right, so legal definitions: number 1, American, indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. And number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. And lastly, the maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. Number 5, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans.
My bad, I was moving too fast. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the readings for Chief Biko. We do the constitutional readings. Let me get to section 10 real quick. And the reason why we do this, people, is if you don't understand the rules to the game, it's impossible for you to win. I think there's enough people on here complaining on YouTube and in the media about what happens to us on a daily or weekly basis. But at the end of the day, as a problem solver, how do you get out of complaining and how do you win? How do you win in society? And what I realized is the only way you're gonna win is you got to know the rules to the game and you got to play by them. Then once you win, you can come back and then you can talk about what we're not doing because you're winning. Because your people aren't going to believe you unless you got something to show them that you're actually doing. So here in section 10, it talks about no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. So of course, the name of this channel is the Lost Confederacy. So here we can see that the European, when they set up their government, they told the Europeans that we're going to create the other states. You can't do business with the Americans. That's the equivalent of the Confederation. In order for this thing to continue to go on, you cannot do business with Confederation. So it's interesting that the Iroquois Confederation taught these people how to set up the United States government, but then they turned around and backstabbed the same people who set them up, right? And said, we're not going to do business with you. So that's how this thing stays propped up. But I'm not doing any business with confederations, which is why they had to make fictitious tribes and put it in Oklahoma to get you get you into a nation and get you forgetting about the Confederacy. Grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin payment of debts. This applies to all U.S. citizens, but we're talking about our group in particular. Until we really understand this, then everything that we talk about, that we opened up this video tonight about, until we understand that gold and silver is money, and that what we have on a day-to-day basis that we use to transact are just coupons, until we get that, we'll never get reparations. Because if you're going to let them pay you with an IOU note and think that you're being reimbursed for something, it just doesn't make business sense. This is our biggest issue right here. Knowing who we are from our family tree standpoint and understanding that this government is bankrupt. Y'all want to build on that part right here on section 10?
Just had a little thought coming to mind. I was speaking earlier about, or we as a group have spoke on forming our own confederation. According to their, even though we know this document, they don't uphold it. The Constitution is just, there's nothing backing it. But in their Constitution, no state should enter any treaty, alliance, or confederation. Say we did branch off, we walk away from the government, conform our own confederation. Is it possible to do business to business, knowing that there is no business being conducted between the United States government and any confederation? How could business still be conducted if we were to walk away?
It wouldn't. Well, it could, because what we're showing is this is their rules that they set up in 1776, ratified in 1779. What we're putting back in their face is, this is what you said was going to be money. You're not using this. So once you lie about what the money is under your government, everything else is a lie. So if they're not going to adhere to what money is under their government, none of this shit matters. But we have to see that from a business standpoint. We have to see that what they said money is, the only thing that can pay off debt is gold and silver. They have not made an amendment to this section. So when you put that back in their face, you said that this is how this government operates. I've never been paid gold or silver in my life since I've been born. That's where we are. They're both. When you lie about the money, you lie about everything. Everything else rhymes with the fact that what they're saying money is, this entity doesn't even operate by it.
Correct. And it just kind of go back to, everything that we quote unquote purchase, or have them, as far as, this system, this government, purchase. What are you purchasing it with? Because it's not gold and silver. So you're not even paying off the debt that you're saying can only be paid off with gold and silver. So we think about, these, credit card companies, or these companies where they're like consolidating, quote unquote debt. What are you using to consolidate this debt to make me pay now with something that's not even going to pay off that debt that you supposedly just consolidated? It's just a big, make-believe game that they have us in, because nobody is using the actual tender that is supposed to be used to actually pay off these debts. So they have everybody, not only our group of people, but every US citizen in this fantasy land where they actually believe that they are actually paying off these, debt instruments per se.
Chief Quietwater, what's your thoughts on it?
I agree with everyone in regards to that. Like you said, just to reiterate, if they're not adhering to what they have right here in Section 10, what else matters? Because you have to have some type of currency to make things happen. And it's like we're in La La Land, basically, because like you said, if they're not adhering to this, nothing else matters in this document. So that's the way that I feel about it.
I just want to add
That's
more.
this is our Achilles heel and I'm not speaking to the people on this channel. I'm talking about the people that may view this video. Do not play mental gymnastics with yourself. Think about it from a business standpoint. This government is a business. It's telling you gold and silver pays debt. If you've never been paid gold and silver, then just call it what it is. The government is full of shit. It's bankrupt. It doesn't have gold and silver to pay you with. We should be in a line at the bank on Friday, and boy, I'm going such and such with my 4 coins today. Yeah, you've never been paid money. So for our group, why are you dealing with racism? We really have to ask those questions to ourselves. Why are we dealing with benign neglect when the government isn't paying you money? It's because you've been conditioned to receive something that's not money. And so once you get normal to that, then it never stops.
And back to that question you just said, why are you dealing with racism? These people are broke. How can they toot the eye up or toot the nose up at anything when you're broke? So yeah, I love that question. How are you dealing with racism? What racism? He ain't got no money. He can't judge anything. She, he, whoever we're speaking about. Just wanted to throw that out there. That was a bomb.
All right, so we're gonna skip down here to Article 2, Section 2. The president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of several states. And so what we always iterate is that we're under military occupation. Those of us that lineage go back to this land, you have to understand American history to understand that a foreign military occupied this land and waged unlawful wars on the people. And there's a group of people that are still being, there's a group of people that war is still being waged upon them. It's just that they haven't outright declared that there's a war since the Seminole Wars, but there's been wars against one particular group of people. And that's the same group of people that a 15-year-old and his friends, even in school, can even admit that they realize that there's one group that gets ignored by this government. And so we can continue to play games and keep our heads in the sand as if, it's about me or, I'm good, whatever. But look at the people behind you and look at what you're seeing today and understand that teenagers are seeing these murders as well. Yeah, you can stomach it, because you're in your 40s or your 20s or your 30s. But what about the kids that's in school right now? How do they feel when they see somebody get shot 60 times and nobody goes to jail? So I'm glad that was spoke on today. Anybody want to build on Article 2, Section 2 about the militia and the military occupation that we're under, that we don't believe we're under?
I'll just add one little piece. Everybody that's doing their genealogy, always just keep a lookout for which militia districts your grandparents or whoever was born in. We understand that the European documents everything really well. So just look out for little things like that so you won't be thinking, what is a militia? Just if you do your genealogy, you're onto things like that. The documents will say which militia they were in on their census.
Chief Rico, Chief Quietwater?
No, I'm good.
I'm agreeing with everyone with what you just said, basically, in regards to the militia.
Same.
And just one note for what Chief Blackcoat was mentioning about militia districts. If your bloodline in your family goes back to what we know as Georgia, remember, Georgia was a military buffer state. So that state was set up to rope off Americans. So yes, if your family was in that area that they call that 13th colony, yes, those documents are going to say militia because it was set up as a military buffer state. We're going to go down to Article 6 and close it out with what they said would be the supreme law of the land. We know different by studying to show ourselves approved, but it says this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And so for those that don't follow this channel on a continuous basis, we have read and worked 3 specific treaties that were not under the authority of the United States. And those particular 3 treaties forced Americans west of the Mississippi River. And the United States government never declared a war and never signed those treaties. And so those are the people that we descend from. Those are the people that created your Black Wall Street after the Trail of Tears in 1830. And so, again, if you're lying about your money, you're lying about everything. So not only do they lie about what money is, they're also lying about the treaty being the supreme law of the land, because we've read treaties that the United States government did not make, but they moved people and destroyed where they lived at and propped up a whole nother fabricated group of people to be those people in another area. This is a 3rd grade problem. This is not hard at all. Y'all want to build on this?
Shoot, I mean, it's plain and simple right there. Like you said, that part, under the authority of the United States really stood out to me today. Because like you stated, we read like the first few treaties we read were signed. What was the term that they used?
Separate and apart.
Separate and apart from the United States. So they were basically saying that we go and make sure we rope you guys off, whether or not we actually get approval from the United States government for this. So as you stated, those were the treaties that rounded up a lot of our ancestors prior to, 1830, the American Removal Act, to even get them going west of the Mississippi. So if those treaties were, again, not under the authority of the United States, then that in itself just means that, okay, all of that land, all of those resources, all of those inventions, all of those, anything that was on that land prior to forceful removal of our ancestors needs to be repaid. And that goes back to that part of, reparations. If we only settling for this fiat paper, we are selling ourselves and our ancestors short drastically. It's one, it's not backed by anything. It's a made up, it's just a coupon. And then secondly, there's so much more that we have to be repaid for in regards to that. So that just kind of stood out to me today.
I definitely agree with that. In regards to this, going back to the gold and silver. I mean, as we see, like the treaties were not under the authority of the United States government. So again, it's a bold-faced lie in regards to everything under the fact that gold and silver is not the the tender that we are getting paid, and understanding this as well. So I really just think that this document is just a lot of contradictions and a lot of lies, not even contradictions, just a lot of lies.
Chief Blackcoat, any thoughts on this section of Article 6, paragraph 2?
Just brainstorming, just listening. Under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. So they're saying any treaty that the United States government has signed is supreme law of the land. We're now understanding that they didn't sign any treaties. So was this kind of their scapegoat in not having to actually uphold those treaties? And then it kind of just makes me wonder about what are they even talking about today in these hearings if the United States government never individually signed these treaties making a deal with those nations. So I'm just sitting here brainstorming, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. Simple answer. It's the sleight of hand. The United States government never declared war.
Right.
And they never thought that you would read the treaties. So once you read the treaties and you find out, wait a minute, the United States government never signed the treaties. They're correct by not signing them. Why? Because they never declared war. But where they fucked up was you should have burned the treaties that you had your rogue military signing. So what we got is we got a management class, which we've talked about this earlier, but for those that are new to the channel, the management class is your government politicians. People run governments. People run businesses. Politicians in Congress run the government. The military is a completely separate operation. What they had going on in the 1800s was the military was signing treaties. That means that everything that they destroyed, all the people that they relocated, you were wrong. You were wrong because the military can't sign treaties. The United States government or a government must sign treaties, not the military. And so what they're doing, and we're getting ready to go right back into this 1866 hearing, what they're doing is trying to have a hearing about 1866 and trying to call them reconstruction treaties. What are you reconstructing? Oh, all the unlawful battles and wars that you've been doing, like this background says, the Seminole Wars. So now you want to reconstruct all the dirt you did, and you want to create a new narrative. Chief Biko or Chief Quietwater, can one of y'all look up the definition of reconstruction so we can share that real quick? Because that's a long way of saying I'm lying. And we have to get that. Reconstruction.
I can look at that. Reconstruction
just means I'm lying. And y'all can share y'all screen with that definition as we go into that. So to answer your question, Chief Blackcoat, they don't have a way out of it because you never declared war. You got a rogue military signing treaties, but you're trying to justify that these 5 civilized tribes are in Oklahoma. Well, how did they get there? They got there from unlawful treaties. They don't have a way out.
And like you said,
a way out.
You still moved people.
You on mute.
Yeah. Like you said, Chief Alligator, you still moved people. You still went along with the plan as if these were lawful treaties, as if they agreed. So you can't escape this. It's just a law, like you said, you start with the law, you end with the law. Yeah. And great point out, the management class, they thought it was a great idea to do by the books. Let's keep these treaties that we wrote up. And now it's biting them in their ass because you should have burned them. You had a general and people that don't have the authority to sign a treaty, but the treaty still don't matter because Congress never declared war. That's why it's just like, if they did declare war, what was the war about? What was this declarance about?
So that means all the killing that's been going on was unlawful.
It's just savagery, barbaric shit.
Can one of y'all share your screen that has the definition of reconstruction? We're just flowing right now, and good that you're asking questions, Chief Blackcoat, as if you're pro-state, if you will, or pro-government, because you need that. But when you're on the edge of the coin and you're not choosing a side, you're just looking at the record. They don't have a leg to stand on at all.
Okay. Here, reconstruction is the act or process of building something, or is the recreation of past events, or the period after the Civil War when the Southern states were reorganized into the U.S. An example of reconstruction is when an economy or a country is rebuilt or restored after a war. So key word here, recreated, a recreation of past events. A lie.
I wanna
the other definition.
Kind of like I'm sorry.
You got some more definitions up right above you. Look like you got 3.
The act or process of reconstructing or being reconstructed. A thing that has been rebuilt after being damaged or destroyed. An impression, model, or reenactment of a past event formed from the available evidence.
That's
Do
the
one more
one
thing.
that got me.
Mhm.
I was gonna ask, do one more thing. Can one of y'all pull up the legal definition of reconstruction? Because this is the long version of I'm lying.
Mhm.
Because you're recreating something. You shouldn't have to recreate it.
Might have been
Well,
that one.
did somebody have the book? I
Just
don't think it's in-
etymology.com. Etymology.com.
Okay.
And shoot, even while we looking that up, even that last definition that you read, an impression, model, or reenactment of a past event formed from the available evidence. We know they did that scorched earth technique.
Oh,
So if you're burning up all of the evidence, you can pick and choose which evidence you want to leave to form your narrative, which is, the lie, aka Reconstruction. So we just breaking this down for y'all.
so here we go here. Reconstruction action or process of reconstructing now of action to go with reconstruct in the US history. I think this is just kind of going back to,
Okay.
When it got it.
yeah.
So we're not going to get it. If you go back to what you looked up on Google, because what we know is you got to keep telling lies. We know there was no Civil War because the war was going on that's in my background, which was the Seminole War. So you weren't fighting over states that seceded. You were fighting over area that the Creek Confederacy and those 5 tribes were still holding on to, which is why
Right.
General Sherman in Special Order 15 said we can't do. I mean, it's too many documents we've read that shows that there was no Civil War. We know that. So what are you trying to reconstruct? What are you lying about? What you're lying about is the Seminole Wars that were unlawfully declared, and you got unlawful treaties that came out of them as well.
I got something here for what is it? Act of constructing again. Okay. It presupposes the non-existence of the thing to be reconstructed as an entity that the thing before existing has lost its entity. That's the legal definition of reconstruction.
Okay. So the thing that lost its entity initially, they're going to recreate something to replace that.
The Confederacy.
Correct.
That's kind of like the Breonna Taylor situation as well. They had to reconstruct a crime scene to bring charges against the officers.
And
in
based
that
off of what
sense,
available evidence. So you can pick and choose.
Yeah,
We can
exactly.
let's fire a gun that supposedly was being aimed at these officers when they kicked down the door. Let's just fire his gun, create a bullet hole. Now that gives us plausible cause to light up everybody in there. So it's just showing you, I mean, they're telling you exactly what it is. It's a lie, y'all. So
or go one step further. Let's just put it for what they really reconstructed. They were hiding the Seminole Wars. So how do we hide that we took the southeast region of North America unlawfully? How do we do that?
Create this fake war.
Create this fake war and create this version of history for about a 60-year period and just tell it to the kids, because it ain't gonna make sense to an adult.
Right. Tell
it to a kid. Because an adult, it's not gonna make sense. You're telling me every person that looked like me came off a plantation and then we just started building shit.
Nah.
It don't make sense.
Don't make sense.
That's what they've told us.
And we debunk it.
Well, first we came off a boat. So we came from Africa first. Then we came over here and just became, I don't know what the hell we became.
Right. Don't know nothing about the land, but you growing all this stuff and doing all this. No, but really
creatures.
Exactly.
You were capturing the people of the land. And you were investigating their skill sets based on their tribes that you were roping them off in. Okay, this group of people are good with blacksmithing. It's all in their treaties. Okay, so send them here because they can help build out here. You weren't bringing foreigners on this land to build on this land. They didn't know what could grow out the land. That's common sense.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
There's a lot of documents floating around, and they look pretty legit. And it's just about the pricing of a slave. Most of all your American-born slaves were thousands of dollars. Anybody from Ireland or from Africa, whatever they were labeled, hundreds, just a few $100s. And it's
Makes
like,
sense.
what was the price difference? Why was the price difference so different? Because they ain't know how to do shit. You know, they would invest way more time in you trying to understand what to do here versus these Negroes that know what to do all day. So yeah, the whole story is just breaking it down.
That's a great point. Like you said, you're working with a foreign object if you're being brought from a foreign place.
Can't
So
speak
you need
it.
people that know the land to actually be able to till the land. So the value, again, going back to money, just everything, the practical use, the value of these people is higher than somebody I would bring in off the boat, especially all these Europeans that were in debtor prisons or criminals. What's the value in that? They're getting rid of them for a reason. So we need to capture the actual
Valueless.
people. Yeah, valueless. We need to capture the actual people here to actually do the work, because the people that they're pumping into these colonies, especially the southern colonies, are useless. They're worthless. So that's a great point you just made. Let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and transition into the video, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. Share my screen. I know last week we left off on, I believe it was the Seminole chiefs.
The redhead.
Yeah, the redhead there, the Irishman, more than likely. And now we'll go ahead and continue.
Mr. Burridge, please proceed with your testimony. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Burridge.
Burridge.
Yes, Senator. Thank you and good afternoon, Chairman Schatz, Vice Chairman Mikowski, Senator Langford, and Senator Smith, and all other distinguished members of the committee. My name is Michael Burridge. I am General Counsel for and a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. I'm here at the request of and on behalf of the Chief of the Choctaw Nation, the Honorable Gary Batten, who the committee invited to testify on a matter of grave importance to the integrity of the Choctaw Nation. I began representing the Choctaw Nation in 1974 upon graduation from the University of Oklahoma College of Law. At that time, I moved to Antlers and began my law practice. I have represented the Choctaw Nation ever since that time in 1974, except for an approximate 7-year period when I was appointed by President Clinton to be a United States District Judge, being Chief Judge for 5 of those years, and also serving on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals by designation. I was told that I am the first Native American to be appointed to the federal bench. I want to make one thing very clear, and please listen. The Freedman issue, as it relates to the Choctaw Nation, has nothing to do with race. I repeat, has nothing to do with race. Tribal membership is based on blood, not race. Today, the Choctaw Nation tribal members includes African Americans, as well as those from other races. All members of our tribe share one characteristic in common. They are Choctaw by blood, and they are all lineal descendants of Choctaw Indians. The Constitution of the Choctaw Nation was established by a United States District Court order dated May 9th, 1983, in an action entitled Morris versus Watt. With federal approval by the government on June 9th, 1983, I repeat, with federal approval by the federal government on June 9th, 1983, ratified by a vote of the tribal members, certified by the Choctaw Election Commission on July 25th, 1983. This Constitution, approved by the federal government, limits membership to Choctaws by blood and their lineal descendants. Chief Batten and I, as General Counsel, take an oath to uphold and defend this Constitution. Our Constitution has existed and worked well for almost 4 decades. But now another part of the federal government that approved that Constitution wants to unilaterally walk it back without the consent of the Indians affected and without consent of the tribe. Does that sound familiar to you? When it comes to the federal government's treatment of Indians and Indian tribes? In the Choctaw Nation's recent litigation against the federal government over the unallotted lands, United States District Judge Lee R. West, who I served with, and was appearing as counsel for the nation at that time, said the federal government has made many agreements with the tribes and did not keep them. He said that was not going to happen in his courtroom, and it did not. It is the federal government, by placing tribal membership in a political arena, that initiated this freedman issue, not the Choctaw Nation. If there's a problem, the federal government needs to find another solution that does not infringe upon the rights of the Choctaw people or the integrity of our self-governance. In 1978, in Santa Clara Pueblo versus Martinez, the Supreme Court held a tribe, because of its sovereignty and principles of self-determination, has the exclusive authority to determine its membership. Following this, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Ordinance 59 Association versus U.S. Department of Interior Secretary held, I quote, tribes, not the federal government, retain authority to determine tribal membership. This holding should be honored by all branches of the federal government. The lawful interpretation of treaties, case law, and history that relates to Indians is complicated. There are special rules of construction when it comes to treaties with the tribes. We are here today having been drawn into a political process where decisions can have far-reaching legal consequences. I respectfully ask this committee, is a congressional hearing where time is limited and personal and political concerns are on the table the proper place to adjudicate such important matters as tribal membership? Then you add on top of that, legislative threats are made. If the tribe does not make the decision wanted by some politician, critical housing funds for tribal members that need the housing may be withheld. How can this be squared with the United States government's trust duties and obligations to the tribes? How is this anything than undermining the tribal self-determination and tribal autonomy? After surviving the cruelty of the Trail of Tears, the Dawes Act, the near termination of our tribal functions, and nearly 2 centuries of taking at the hand of the United States government, the Choctaw Nation and these other tribes deserve better. This all goes to the core of the constitutional identity of a sovereign tribe that is threatened. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And when appropriate, I'll be glad to answer any questions about what I have said or other questions, especially about the Morris case. I was there. I represented the tribe, although at that point in the game, I was carrying briefcases more than lawyering, but I know what was discussed at those hearings, and this was one of them.
Thank you very much. Ambassador.
Just stop right there. Did you want to start us off, Chief Alligator?
Yeah, this would be, I guess, the first and last one. We had a lot to get off the table today, so we'll start with this one. Y'all want to do this one and one more? Where y'all at with it?
Knock out this one.
Yeah, I think just this one.
Where you at, Chief Blackcoat?
Yeah, we can speak on Buddy that just got done talking.
Yeah, what's his
Right.
name?
There's a lot of contradictions in here, but we needed to. First of all, he's an attorney. Let's
Mhm.
start there.
Okay.
So he's not the chief. He's the counsel for this Choctaw, this make-believe Choctaw Nation.
Mhm.
He contradicts himself. He starts off by saying he's a member of the Choctaw Nation. He also says that membership is by blood. So if membership is by blood, and he came out of his mouth and said he's a member of the Choctaw Nation.
How?
How?
I mean, as simple as that. How?
Mhm.
Who's? Okay.
From what you're saying, yeah, you're not a member of the Choctaw Nation. Yeah, only thing.
That's what he said.
Yeah, right. Then he's throwing all these rules out here about, having blood,
So here's the deal. Then he says, I put the points in there, but I guess what I'm saying is, once they told a lie about what the money is, and we know they're signing fake treaties, now he has to get up here and lie. After he says he's a member, and then after he says it's by blood only, then he turns around and says he's the first U.S. district judge that's Native American. So understand, Choctaw's a separate nation, because in the world of nation, it's just a make-believe entity.
Mhm.
It's no different than AT&T. You can't physically talk to AT&T. You can only communicate with a corporation.
Right.
Paper. So this nation called Choctaw and this nation called United States government, he just said he's the first United States district judge.
Choctaw Nation.
That's right. That's Native American.
Mhm.
Okay. So you got dual citizenship like a motherfucker then. Because you claiming Choctaw, but you a judge in a whole nother government.
Mhm.
And you representing a whole nother nation. What you doing? You gotta watch the plays.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
That makes sense. That's crazy. Wow.
You representing another nation, a foreign
Right.
nation like that.
Right.
It's almost as if they didn't expect anybody with this type of knowledge to watch these hearings. Well, we know they didn't because they didn't
Yeah.
promote it. You know, it's at what,
Right.
336 views.
Yeah.
As they're spewing on, it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like Chief Alligator just pointed out, do all over the place.
Mhm.
Biggest thing for me, he's claiming to be Native American. I'm assuming he's claiming to be Choctaw. Well, let me correct myself. Today's Native American isn't the original what is supposedly the Native American. So when we speak of Choctaw, this isn't that group of people that pushed west that is, you know, sitting in front of us today trying to talk. He looks completely European. So I don't even, you know, I don't know how many people are gonna fall for this okie doke, but that was my first little mental note was this dude is well, I don't care how much blood he got in him, 90 of it is European. And I don't know what he gonna do to try to hide that. But yeah, he keeps saying you can be a member by blood. Well, to me, well, of course, if you're Choctaw, you're Choctaw. Ain't no other way else to you know go about that. But
Right.
yeah, just these people speaking, I can't even take them serious. Honestly, I'm rambling right now.
Yeah, it really just doesn't make any sense. I did notice that he also said, I think when he first became Choctaw, that he was carrying a briefcase, probably representing and weaseling his way into the nation. Because like Chief Blackcoat said, he's definitely European. Like I can't see him being Choctaw by blood at all. But again, it's just a situation where it's just organization, and they write things so that it will favor them in the future. Like their plan is just very strategic. So I think that's just the case with all of these people who have spoken and has a platform to speak and bold enough to even get on the platform to say that they're Native American.
That's what I was gonna say. It don't sound like a plan. My bad, Chief Alligator.
Just for the record, Chief Quietwater, can you let the world know what tribe you descend from?
Choctaw, and what you say?
No, so I just want the
Oh.
world to know you're looking at Chief Quietwater. She's Choctaw. That guy that was on that screen,
European.
Quietwater. Just wanted to
Oh,
emphasize.
that's all. That's it.
And just kind of piggyback off of that, like, y'all, again, there, just go back to what you said, you know, with this entity, you know, Choctaw Nation, just like Atlanta Brave, it's a name. So when he's saying, you know, you gotta have blood to be a member of the Choctaw Nation, whose blood? Because it's clearly not ours. It's not Chief Quietwater's blood. So it must be this made up, again, entity that they're forming. Again, we already know they was adopting what Europeans, it was adopting everybody. So this fella here, yeah, he may be Choctaw Nation by blood, but he's not Choctaw American by blood. There's a difference. And we clearly see that from Chief Quietwater and this fella here on the screen. Hair swooped to the side, looks nothing like even what the imagery was when we were kids of them showing Native American. He doesn't even match that. So we're supposed to believe that he's one of the two. He's either this you know, Indian smoking cigars, or whatever they like to portray them, you know, early 30s, 40s, 50s, or, you know, he's an actual Choctaw member, Choctaw American, rather, like Chief Quietwater. Come on, guys, it's not that hard to see. This is clearly a European man, just representing or posing as, you know, a Choctaw American. But again, we have to be conscious of the words they're using, Choctaw Nation member. So yeah, it's just, I mean, plain as day, these people are just trying to act like they're us, and they're not really us. Nobody on the screen looks like us or is representing us within these hearings.
Can you read his tag, Chief Rico, where it says the Honorable Michael Burridge, and read under that, what's it say?
General Counsel, Choctaw Nation, Durant, Oklahoma.
He's an attorney. He's general. He's counsel. He's speaking on behalf of Choctaw Nation. He's their representation, and he's doing exactly what Dr. Claude Anderson has done. He's also doing what a lot of people who look like us have done. They're not taxed. This government, they're classified as Indian, not taxed, but they will turn around and tell all of us that we come from slaves. That's what we showed early on this channel, was that Dr. Claude Anderson knows his Dawes roll number.
Yeah, by heart.
So he has dual citizenship. He's Cherokee, but he also can join the military and work within the government, but he's going to be classified as Indian, not taxed. But then he writes books and tells everybody else that doesn't know their Dawes roll number or doesn't know their family history, you's a slave. We have to watch that, because I'm willing to bet 60% of the people who look like us, they know their lineage, they don't pay tax to this United States government, and they're members of these 5 nations.
And the thing about that,
stand on that. Yeah, these niggas know who they from. These niggas know their lineage. They let you play the slave role. Do you really think?
Why you say 60% though?
I'm going to say 60. When I say 60%, I'm talking about your high income earners. I'm talking about your business people.
They know how to play the games.
Yeah, I mean, play the game. People who going to read the rules to it.
They know the rules of the game. I'm about to say that.
But the average everyday person, I'm slave, I'm Negro, but yeah, all your basketball, LeBron James is not black. I'll say that, bro. Man, that man know exactly where he come from.
Facts.
Come on, y'all. He got too many resources.
And I like that, because as you start to see Shaq and Charles and all those other OGs come out, they start speaking about who they are. Okay. Yeah, when you got that type of money, you know, you know, because you hit a certain point in life where
you know the rules of the game. You got to. And it kind of like, it goes back to like, okay, there's a tax benefit if you are claiming a certain, you know, nation, just like there's a tax benefit if you know with Trump and his situation, Trump, you know, being able to bury his wife on a golf course, and now there's a tax exempt because now it's considered a cemetery. Like, you know the rules of the game once you get to a certain point, because you have to basically at that point, or all of your fiat will go out the window. We'll eat that up. So
good business moves.
So it just kind of even highlights now, okay, so since y'all know, why aren't y'all teaching that to your group of people? Because you're reaping the benefits off of that ignorance too.
Because they alienate them. I just want to build on what Chief Rico, you dropping bombs, what you just said, but I guess to try to make it make sense, think about a football player that's at the University of Georgia. Those agents are gonna look at those players that's about to be drafted to that league, and they're gonna alienate them from everybody else. They're gonna say, you're special. You got an opportunity to change your family, not your people, but your family. So here's how this structure works. You're gonna have a sports agent. That agent's job is to brief you on everything legal and everything business-wise when it comes to the sport you're about to play. So these guys are briefed on the business before they ever get on the field or get on the basketball court. They understand that that agent represents them. They understand that they have to move a certain way. Okay, per my contract, I can't be out past 10 o'clock. They get it. Once they get that and they start living within that contract, then it becomes a spiritual thing where you start wanting to know more about how things work. And that's how those guys ultimately end up to finding out about their lineage. You with me?
Yeah.
It's a I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. It's like it's like you can't cheat the process, but once you live within a contract, that starts making you ask questions about other operating procedures within the government. And then you start wondering, well, why are these people immune to certain things? How do these, come on, how does a nigga, and I'm gonna use that word nigga, how does a nigga get a $300 million contract? You think he don't know who the fuck he is and where he come from? Seriously, y'all.
They not paying the nigga.
Yeah, facts.
That's big facts right there.
Damn,
That's all we got to remember.
You just said it right there.
300 million? No, we
You're
know
not
exactly
paying
who
the
he is.
Yeah.
We know who his family, and I'm using Lamar Jackson because that number stuck out because now he's going through his contract negotiations, right? But every time you get that one of us that breaks the barrier in a particular role, you best believe he's not. He's American.
Right.
He's American, and he's a member of one of these tribes.
Not black, none of that for sure.
Right.
I can see that. I can see that. But the game is to tell everybody else that looks like you. Don't tell them this, you know. And that's,
Or just
that's
right,
the
just don't even talk about it. Yeah.
That'll be the secret. Those be those secrets that they keep from us. I had one more thing written down. Hijack. Before we get off of here, we're watching the hijack of. Well, they're going through a reconstruction, so it's like they're trying to hijack their own hijack again. Because again, just continuously lying. So now you're here having another hearing. You're seeing all these different faces. They're pretty much hijacking it again. You see the rest of the world doing their homework, doing their genealogy. People coming out the woodworks. Hey, I'm Choctaw. Hey, I'm Chickasaw. Hey, I'm Cherokee. I'm from the Creek. I'm from the Iroquois. Now, whoa. We're gonna control this narrative. Let's get the honorable Michael. You know these guys, and let's have this hearing so the rest of the world will be on our side and say, well, they're saying they're the Native American. You blacks can't. So, you know, just again, the hijack, you know, watching out for that hijack.
Let's get ahead of this before it gets, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now we're beefing with somebody completely pretending to be us. Like, bro, we're not even gonna go there until time's ready.
Yeah. Great deal tonight. I don't know what to say at this point. The world's not buying it. The world's not buying it. January 6th embarrassed this United States government. These hearings that the United States government just had, every other government's leaders watched it, and the gig is up. I've been saying this since January 6, 2021. I'll say it again. There is no law. If you are a free person and you operate as if you're free, there's no way you can go past January 6th and say there's law. Because if you're going to tell me that one group of people can do whatever they want, and that's okay, but everybody else would get murdered or get life, as the district attorney in Atlanta is talking about, off conspiracy charges, then you're a slave. Slavery is mental. If you're going to believe that one group of people are above the law, and these are people that you quote unquote supposed to vote it for, and they don't get any repercussions for what they did, and right now it's like you got Europeans that are like, yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with living under that type of government. It's the people in our group. We have to understand that we're going to be under the peasant European, because they're not getting killed on video. I haven't seen a white, have y'all, since 2020 with Ahmaud Arbery, have you seen a European get shot by the police on video? I ain't seen it yet.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It won't happen.
You won't see it. If it happens, you best believe it's not on Fox 5.
So what's the deal? If we've never seen a European get shot down the way we've been shot down, and so what? We're cool with the police now?
That's what it seemed like with this, the way the DA talking, the way people are, you know, clapping about that.
I mean, Biden got in office because we were supposed to be defunding it. So it's only gotten worse since he's been in office. So again, I'm just saying, well, how did we forget what he got put there for?
Mhm.
It was put there to defund it. He's refunded it.
Facts.
I just want to say one thing. I think that's our biggest thing, what Chief Alligator just said. And we laughed at this fact a couple years ago, but slavery is mental. Slavery is mental. As I get older and I watch other people with a slave mentality, there's shackles on them. There's so much fear. That fear is a shackle. That fear is something that can be equated parallel to slavery. And if you have enough fear in you, yeah, you'll operate as a slave. You'll do by anybody. You'll listen to anybody. Anybody can tell you anything, and you'll believe it. And I hate to say that, but that's how our group operates. Having the need to actually feel like I have to go do this. This has to be, when it's like, no, you don't have to do anything. You can sit down and just twiddle your thumbs, but whatever you believe you have to do, that's what you have to do. And no, slavery is mental. You do not have to put chains on somebody to have their mind.
That's true. That's absolutely right.
Chief Biko, Chief Whitewater, any closing thoughts on this whole bullshit with these people just disrespecting the real Americans?
Facts. Again,
I think we hit all the points in regards to it's just BS. I mean, you said it right. It's just looking at him, and for those words to come out of his mouth that he has Choctaw blood. I mean, everything else is downhill from there. So I think we had a good class tonight.
I have one more thing before we get out, just because I was listening to somebody talk earlier. When these politicians or whatever these people, whoever gets the invitation to go on to Fox 5 or Channel 20 and whoever, and they speak for us as a group, they speak for us. 9 times out of 10, this person speaking for us, he's in the ideology that is in agreement with the European. When these people talk, you can hear it in their dialect that they're not talking for you, bro. Like on this channel, this is how we talk. This is how we talk. Most of everybody else speaks in this type of tongue. So when you hear these, I want to say coons come on TV and speak for us, does that dialect even sound like something, and then what he's actually saying is against you. So I just wanted to put that out. If you got some people representing you and they not sounding like this, we can be intellectual, but we're still being ourselves. We're not coming on and saying hello, and acting as a robot. If you can hear, if it sounds like they're not talking about you, they're not talking about you. They just, putting on a show. And I just wanted to say that too as well.
Chief Biko?
That's the point. I think everybody hit on everything. Again, how these people are claiming to be us. And there's no, outrage. Don't hear anybody, talking about this activity outside of, our channel. It's just, shocking to me. But that's why we do, what we do, raise that awareness, set, things straight. Because it's obvious. I mean, it's night and day, literally. We got Chief Quietwater, legit Choctaw, and you have this man saying he's, Choctaw. It ain't adding up, people. It ain't adding up. So yeah, we just gonna continue to dispel this narrative, debunk all this narrative about who we are and who they are, and continue to set things straight.
Close us out, Chief Biko. I do want to just drop this one thing. I'm gonna do another fortune prediction. This group is in for a world of hurt by the time 2024 comes around. Chief Blackcoat was talking about people that represent us, that if they don't sound like they're representing us, they're not. I'm going to go back to the Black Caucus. We haven't talked about them for a while. You got a midterm election coming up. What's the agenda? Do you know, as a quote unquote Black person, what the agenda is for this year in the midterms? You don't. That's by design. You're not a part of the financial statement. You're not a part of the cash flow statement. You're not on the balance sheet. I don't know what it's going to take for us to understand that. They're not accounting for you. That's why you get nothing. this group is not going to last to 2024 without more. Something worse than George Floyd is going to happen. That's what I'm going to say. Because you got illegal immigrants coming from Texas to New York. You got Ukrainians coming from Europe. You got Afghanistan's over here, and everybody's being funded, right? The only group that hasn't been funded or protected is us. And you got the president refunding the criminal system. What do you think is going to happen in the next 2 years? But the only group that's unprotected, and we're going to see something that's going to be worse than George Floyd, because all these police departments just got the green light again. It's back to business as usual. Let's fill these prisons up with these niggas. And we really have to understand that, because they went on pause for 2 years. For 2019 to 2020, they said, all right, we'll entertain defunding the police. We'll entertain it. Now we refunding it. And you don't see RICO charges for the Proud Boys or any one of these militia groups. No, who are they sending the RICO charges on to get as many people associated with these people as they possibly can? People who look like us. It's not rocket science. It's not racism.
$300 million facility coming to Clayton County. Get your coins right. Get your coins right. We're seeing it. You know, I love what we do, because we predict the future, and get your coins right. That's all I can say.
Yeah. They definitely hitting up in text messages. Hey, you looking to sell your home for a reason?
And man, no, it's just we understand about this inflation and debt and people still not paying their bills and all of these things. And I can't see it any other way. Chief Alligator said it before. Are people gonna be on the streets, dog? I just don't. You know, if you sold grandma's house and if you're renting or and don't got the means to keep it, it's just, I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
A lot of federal cases, they already got it in place at the federal level. They got IRS, 80,000 IRS agents, armed agents. Who do you think they're going to come for? Who do you think they're going to be auditing? They're going to be auditing people who look like us that got PPP and no businesses and all. Yeah, you're doing federal time. They're gonna attack our group, and then on the state and county level with the sheriff, with the evictions and all of that. Yeah, who are they going to come at? Yeah, they're going to come at. Because there's already a war on you. See, the city of Atlanta has already justified through these RICO charges that the enemy is the youth, the young Black youth. That's the problem. And so everything that happens from here on out is going to be justified. Any young youth that they kill on video is going to be justified, because the district attorney has already made it clear what her agenda is. Her agenda is to give life off of what she believes you did. Remember, RICO ain't proven a damn thing. You got big time drug dealers coming home from the 80s and 90s off RICO, and they'll tell you, the government didn't catch me doing a damn thing. It was all hearsay. That's what this RICO does to the city of Atlanta's music industry. It's all, who can I get to say that he did something?
Yeah.
That's it.
Little baby met with Stacey Abrams. Not that I care. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Chief Rico, close us out.
Shoot, that'll be it, man. Another episode of the Lost Confederacy. Definitely will continue to listen to these faux chiefs of these, fake nations that try to represent us, and continue to, again, just debunk it, dispel it, and provide actual facts on who we are and who they are. So again, next week, week 11, stay tuned.